Everybody loved him. Hundreds of people would be by the courthouse, and he, put up his finger to the government, and that's it. This man is dying, and you still have him in solitary confinement. He was tied, his feet to the bed, and his hands were tied to the bed. People want to question if my father was weak or tough. He had a severe kidney infection. He was sick. He didn't get to see a doctor. By the time he got off the bus, he was covered in blood. If there was ever a time to become a rat or something, it would have been then. No, instead he fought 5 trials. Eli has never had any conversation with my father. You lie about my son? Like, this is how sick they are. I defend my family. I think I do a pretty good job of defending my family. But other people defend my family also. I don't ask them to do it, but they do. Hello, everybody.
Hi, everyone.
How is everyone tonight? Carolyn is here, and she's going to talk to us about and inform everyone on the domestic violence. How are you, Carolyn?
I'm doing wonderful tonight, Angel. How about you?
Good, thank you. I'm very happy that you're here. I wanted to do this for the longest time.
Okay.
And a friend had promised me that someone was going to come on that he knew. And then he just got tied up in so much of his own life that he didn't get the chance to bring that person to us. So we have you. I'm so excited. So go ahead. Let's just say hello to a few people, and then you can start. Hello, Crimel. Hello, Tina. Hello, Downack. Hello, Cuban B, Maureen. Hello, Danny. How are you, Danny? Hello to who do we have here? I'm trying to go down real fast. Hello, Real Deal. How are you, Tommy? How are you feeling? Hi, Salty Cracker. Hello, Zio Lesso. How are you? And I got Maureen. I think I said Maureen. Hello, Carol. How are you? Angela, the right winger. Mr. Smith. Hello, low rider girl. How? Yeah, look, you made it in on time, low rider girl. And let's see. I don't want to. Hi, Maddie. Great show, Maddie. Hello, Jane. How are you, Jane? Uh, now, after the show, I'm going to explain something about the wrenches, but not right now. Hi, The Truth Hurts. How are you, The Truth Hurts? Okay, so I'll get back to everybody in a little while. Hello, Frankie Calabria. So go ahead, Carolyn. You have the floor.
Okay. Well, I came across your show, Angel, and I was extremely surprised of your tenacity. And, being that I am a domestic violence advocate, I do a lot of public speaking. I speak at conventions. I speak to groups of women. I work with several organizations to help domestic violence assisting women. Okay, so okay, well, so first of all, like I said, I wanted to thank you for allowing me to come on here tonight because domestic violence is becoming, it's actually a public health problem. And there are many women out there who are suffering through this, very embarrassed to come forward and say what's going on. And so I'm hoping that tonight would shed some light on some of the women in the audience. So
Definitely.
thank you, Angel, for having me and welcoming me in the most warmest manner.
Ah,
Okay.
anytime.
Okay, so to start, I was born and raised in Bensonhurst, Brooklyn, in a very big Italian family. And we lived in a building, and like you see on the honeymooners, I was able to hear everybody screaming who was beating their wife up and a lot of things. So that was my earliest exposure to domestic violence.
Okay.
So okay, but I am a survivor and I am an advocate of domestic violence. Okay, so okay, No.
So you're a survivor yourself?
Yes, I am a survivor. Yes, of 30 years.
Okay,
Right,
okay,
right. Yeah. I spent 5 years in an abusive marriage, which, was filled with physical and emotional abuse. But today, I got out of the abuse. I raised my children and I went on to become an advocate to help other women who were suffering in this crisis.
okay.
Okay.
Congratulations. That's
Yes,
Thank you.
yes,
Thank you.
good.
Okay. So, like I
definitely.
said, okay. So, I belong to a few organizations that help to assist people in abusive relationships. Like again, I speak out in public. I speak in conventions. I speak all around the New York City area, and I occasionally write articles for small local newspapers on the subject of domestic violence. So, one thing I wanted to make clear before we start is that domestic violence, it's not just for women being beaten up. Not men are also assaulted by their partners as well. It's just that the majority, the great amount are all women who suffer more in domestic violence than men do. So I just wanted to make that clear that men suffer as well as women do.
Okay.
Right. Men suffer just as much as women. It goes both ways. Okay, so let's
Really?
start. I'm sorry.
I really?
Yeah. Well, they don't suffer. The ratio to men to women is not as much. But, there are some women out there that, I guess whatever the narcissistic tendencies or, they do have, sort of maybe a violent streak and they could be the abuser in their relationship. But again,
Okay.
it's mostly centered on women, and that's what we'll be focusing on. But I just wanted to make that clear that men as well are hit and struck in some relationships.
Okay.
So now what I would like to do is I want to define what domestic violence is. Domestic violence has been long rooted in our human history, way back in the caveman time. A caveman saw a woman or a spouse and just dragged her right back into the cave. So this has been going on for a very long time.
Okay.
Okay. Now, domestic violence is any kind of violence between family members or intimate partners, spouses, and so on. Domestic violence comes in all walks of life: rich, poor, all ethnicities, gay and lesbians, transgenders. In every walk of life community, we find domestic violence. Now, domestic violence is a crime, and it will be prosecuted as a crime. Domestic violence is not just limited to physical abuse alone. It can also be used as coercive control, such as threatening someone, checking into your spouse's phone without them giving you their permission, wanting to know where their whereabouts are at every minute of the day. So that's some of the things that they cover coercion. And there's also economic coercion, which means that sometimes a spouse could withhold money from a partner. They could open a credit card without the partner knowing about it.
Hmm.
It basically deals with monetary gain. Now, back in December of this year, I went before the legislation at City Hall to give testimony pertaining to the economical coercion. Although domestic violence laws, they've been in place already for a long time, what was missing was the coercion part of it. Because coercion it's not the physical part of the domestic violence, but it does pertain to the abuse that's going on. So when I appeared before the legislation, I had asked if they could put that clause, coercion, into the law. And it was sort of like the law was sort of like a brick wall that was missing one of the bricks. So the coercion was like a clause that just needed to be in there. And I'm very happy to announce that last month, finally, Mayor Eric Adams added that clause to the domestic violence law here in New York City. And though it's a big step, my real dream is that it will be passed in every state in America. Connecticut already has passed it. We have it here in New York. And again, One of my greatest dreams is that every state here will pass the law for protection to women. Okay, now there's other aspects included in domestic violence.
Mm-hmm.
Let me give you a few statistics. One in every three women and one in every 11 men are physically abused at some times in their life by a partner, a husband, a spouse, a boyfriend. In this country alone, here in the United States, every day, now that every day here in the United States, three women die at the hands of their abuser. That's just here in the United States. Three women a day will lose their lives at the hand of the abuser. And these numbers are very staggering. Now, why do women stay in abusive relationships? And
Mm-hmm.
on and on average, it takes a woman 7 to 8 tries before she finally leaves. There's so many reasons why they stay. For many women, they still love that spouse, that husband. They don't want to leave, they just want the abuse to stop. Others do not leave due to financial reasons. They don't make enough money to support themselves and their children. Some are very low in education. The salary that they would, gain would not be enough to support the family. Also, they're afraid to enter shelters. What will it be like if I'm there? Will my children be safe? And for many women, when they decide to leave the abuser, that's when they're murdered. When the abuser understands that, okay, she's no longer going to take this abuse from me, this is over, she means it this time, she's leaving, that's when a big majority of the women are murdered.
Oh my God.
And 75% of the women that are murdered, and when we think of murder, women that are just in general murdered, 60% are murdered by the spouse. Others are murdered because of a car accident, well, I mean, robbery or whatever, but that's how high. These are very staggering numbers. Okay. Another thing is, I'd like to thank here tonight all the wonderful men who've come on this show because, usually domestic violence, it's a woman. Most people think of it as, and it is, it's mostly a woman who gets abused. But
Right.
I would really like to extend my wonderful thoughts and thankfulness to a lot of the men who may be on this show tonight. It just shows me that they took the time to come here and to understand a little bit about what goes on with domestic violence. You know, it, so and I kind of like would like to even ask out to them to step up and be an example to other men. Talk to other men. Talk to your brothers, your friends. Let them know that domestic violence is wrong. If you're having an argument or you're not satisfied, walk out the door. Don't pick up your hands to a person who's much smaller than you.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so now all the women who are listening in here tonight, and the ones, especially the ones who may be experiencing domestic violence, I'm urging you to get help. Don't suffer in silence. There's so many resources available today. I know it's a lot of embarrassment. Sometimes we don't want to tell anybody what's going on, or for whatever your reason is. The longer you stay, the worse the violence becomes, and the worse the toll it takes, a mental toll on your health, your mind, and your children as well, who may be in the picture. I don't know you, but I know what you're going through because I am a survivor and I've been where you are in your crisis. And I always say in a lot of my public speaking that if you help just one woman in domestic violence, just by helping one woman, that's not going to change the world. But for that one woman, her world is going to change forever.
Oh wow.
That's good.
So at this time, if anybody would like, if we could do some question and answer. If anybody out there has a question, Angel or Marla, anyone? I'd like to take your questions now.
Does anybody have any questions?
I'll check
Where
the chat.
do what? I'm sorry. Go ahead, Marla.
Oh no, I said I'll check the chat to see if anyone has any
Okay.
questions.
Okay.
Um. So, did you ever see the movie A Cry for Help?
No, that one I didn't. I've heard of it. I just never really got around to see it.
Okay,
I
that
watched
movie.
the Burning Bed was also a movie that would give you some insight of what goes on.
Right, The Burning Bed. We
Right,
discussed that on here too.
right,
Yes,
right. That was
but
what Farrah Fawcett played the part of Jennifer
yes,
Garner.
yes, and
Right.
that was based on a true story.
Oh yes, yes, it was
Yeah,
very true. Very true.
yeah.
Very
So,
true.
how did you get out of your your situation, domestic violence?
Okay, well, it went on for a while, and back sort of like what I was explaining before. I was always kind of thinking, well, but I still loved him. In fact, I still love him today in a sense because he's the father of my children, and he has made some changes. But I was always kind of hoping that he was going to change. I was a young girl. I had just given birth and to twin boys, and I was kind of thinking, well, okay, once he sees the babies, everything is going to change. Just I could change this. I could make this better. But of course, time went on and it didn't get better. If anything, it escalated worse. So there was an incident had happened, and then I finally realized that this was no good. This wasn't a healthy relationship for me. So I decided to leave.
And did you have help? Did you have to hide? Did
No, I
you?
didn't have to hide. I didn't have to hide. He wasn't a very, vindictive person. I mean, he wanted me to come back, and there might have even been some sincerity in him wanting me to come back. But I knew that, he wasn't capable of, he came from a dysfunctional family, and he really wasn't capable, of, he didn't know the difference that, okay, you don't put your hands on somebody, you don't settle things that way. And I kind of, it was always, I'm sorry until the next time. And yeah, and like I said, I had just given birth to twin boys, and I realized at that point too that it wasn't just me anymore. Now I had to protect my children from any abuse going on in the house. Because there was times he'd break up the house, and I just kind of didn't want my children to go through that. And luckily I had a very supportive sisters and brothers and a mother to help and father to go to.
Okay, so you didn't. It wasn't a secret. You told your
No,
family about it.
no, right. It wasn't a secret. It wasn't a secret. I just called my dad and brother one morning because the night before he had broken up the whole house. He was very intoxicated, and I just thought it best, that it's time to leave because I just figured it was just a question of time when my the twins were 4 months old and they weren't talking to him, but I figured as time went on they were going to start to have a talking interaction with him, as they grew, and I kind of felt that they were going to suffer abuse as well, you know, and I just figured this was it. I wasn't thinking for me anymore. I was thinking for my boys.
And now, did was he like this before you married him?
There were signs before I married him. Like any starry-eyed young girl, I fell in love with him. The family that I came from, we were a big family of 7 children, and I didn't really, we always got the hand-me-down clothes, and there was no really, we really just grew up struggling, and my self-esteem was very low. And he was I called these men sometimes Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde because he would go from buying me a present and how wonderful and this and that, and then the next day using his hands on me. So to me as a young girl, I was very confused at that point. I was like, well, what did I do wrong? Yesterday everything was okay. If I cooked the roast beef 1 minute more than what he wanted, he would break up the whole house. So I was always trying to, just to make him happy, no matter which way to do it. Have his slippers at the door, have dinner on the table when he got home. But of course, that's an abuser. That doesn't work with an abuser. They have some issues, and that no matter how good you treat them, they just don't know how to participate and treat you back the right way.
And what kind of things would set him off?
Well, first of all, he had a drinking problem. Okay, and
Okay.
but he did have a demeanor even before he would drink. He did have a mean demeanor, and of course, when he was drinking, it was just anything would set him off. One time, I just broke one of the cups in the house, and I was all day on the avenue trying to find that cup because he liked the cup, and I didn't want him to come home and see that the cup was broken. But when I couldn't find the same exact cup, and then when he noticed the cup was broken, he just began to, assault me and
Oh
just,
my God.
just break up everything in the house. And then there was the accusatory things too, like, sometimes we would just be sitting in a restaurant and he would say, "Oh, well, why are you looking at that guy for?" And I wasn't looking at the guy. I was very in love with him. Maybe I just happened to be glancing in that direction. So it was always, he was very insecure. And, to me as a young girl at first, when he would do this, I was like, "Oh, wow, look how much he loves me. He doesn't want anybody to look at me. He's jealous. He's telling me to wear my skirt, not so short." And, to a lot of young girls, they don't interpret, as an older person, someone with experience, what that is. That's not love. That's insecurity, what he was doing.
A
So it
hundred
was always,
percent.
yeah, it was always, where were you? You're 10 minutes late. Where were you? How come you're late? Always, it just was like living on eggshells all the time.
So let me ask you this also. Does an order of protection work?
Well, yes, an order of protection does work, but then, of course, you have, like you see in the paper, a lot of these guys that order protection doesn't mean anything to them. They'll just come back, and a lot of times they'll kill you, and then they'll kill themselves. I mean, that's very common. But it's a good idea to get an order of protection, because, to a certain extent it does help. And I guess, each woman's case is different. If you feel that it's not going to help, well, then you do need to hide at that point, and, which a lot of
And
women do.
oh, that's what I was going to ask you next. So have you come across women that have that it was so bad that they had to go and hide?
Yes, I
Like
have
they had,
come across. I have come across a few of them. I know some of them that, at the present moment are in shelters, and there are some of them that have left the state, which, I'm not really, at liberty to talk about that, where they are, and, what's going on with that. But yes, they do flee, and sometimes the husband finds them. A lot of times with the social media, they're able to find you. For every person in every situation is different, but you're best off, documenting everything that happens, and, you just, but you're best off going to court. And, well, I mean, it depends. If you feel that he's not going to come after you, that, then you don't need the order of protection. But a lot of them do. And in fact, and one of the new things now is that, for any woman, like once you get him out of the house, okay, uh, what there is a program that'll change your locks for free, because a lot of times he still has that key because he's lived there, and he's apt to come back later on or during the night to harm you. So there is a program for women that they will come and they'll change your locks for free. And also, women who are, experiencing the domestic violence crisis, you can also get a free phone, because, a lot of women, once they break up, once, they don't, he's the family breadwinner, so, he's got the phones in his name, or however it be. So, you are allowed for a free phone. I mean, you can't call Italy with it, but you can call for help at any time if you can't afford, a phone for yourself.
so the state or the the advocacy group will help them with a phone.
Yes, well, that's what I was going to do in a little while. Give out some resources where
Okay,
where
good.
help is available.
We have some questions from the chat.
Okay, go
Yes,
ahead,
yes.
Marla.
Uh,
Yep.
one of the one of the questions was, how does domestic violence deal with verbal and mental abuse?
Well, verbal and mental abuse, that is part of domestic violence. It's just like another branch of it. Like there's the physical part where someone actually assaults you, but then if someone is threatening you, if your partner is threatening you, the verbal abuse, that's considered abuse as well. That's part of domestic violence. That's what I've been working on. That's coercion, we call that. And a lot of times, you know, mostly men were just arrested for the physical assault itself. Now we want them to be arrested for just even for the coercion, for the threatening of the woman. For, there was one woman I had that her husband never allowed her to close the door when she used the bathroom.
Are
He
you
just,
kidding? Wait a
yeah.
minute. What do you mean?
Well, he was a control freak, and this was one of his rules in the house that whenever she used the bathroom, with the kids going back and forth and the activity of the house, she was never allowed to close the door and go to the bathroom, with some privacy. So that we call that's what coercive abuse is. In other words, okay, he didn't physically assault her, but that is abuse what he did. That's like he took her dignity and didn't allow her to use the bathroom, in a proper, a way, a private way. So domestic violence does cover the physical assault, and it does cover the coercion and economical coercion as well. There was one woman I had where her husband opened up a bunch of credit cards in her name, and then she left him because he was abusing her, and he passed away. And now she was left with the kids, and she tried to apply for some credit to try to put her life back together, and they wouldn't allow her any credit. Her name was completely destroyed. So that's one aspect of economical coercion. We
Okay.
have no we have no idea
Wait,
what
I'm
goes.
sorry. I'm sorry. I was muted. I don't know how I got muted. But so
That's okay.
she wasn't allowed to close the bathroom door when she
Right,
went to the bathroom and she had
right.
children?
Yes, there was a family. She lived with her husband and her children, and his way of control. I mean, nobody knows what goes through these abusers' minds, but that
Right.
was one of his ways of just humiliating her, or his rule in the house that she was not to close the door when she went to the bathroom.
And
I mean, there's a
did she,
multitude of stories and things that
oh
I've
my
heard throughout
God.
the years with
What
with women.
did she leave him?
Well, I'm not at liberty to talk about her, okay? Because in
Okay.
other words, yeah, I mean, I'm just giving you an example what the coercive
Okay,
control was,
okay.
but to
Okay.
bring any part of her personal story, I'm not at liberty
Okay,
to
okay.
say that. Yeah.
I have a
Because
second question when you're ready. I'm sorry. Go
sure.
ahead.
No, go ahead. Go ahead.
Another question from the chat is, does drugs and alcohol play a huge role in domestic violence?
Yes, it does. It does. It heightens the domestic violence. It does. It does. And in a lot of cases, we see this here. We see drug abuse or alcoholism in, part of it. A lot of people, they're more calmer, but then once they start having a few drinks, then like those, oh, you didn't clean the dishes tonight, and they begin to get, start to break up the house or assault the person. And so, yes, alcohol and drugs plays a big part in it. But some of the people, it's not just, that's just the nature of that abuser. He doesn't have to be an alcoholic. That's just, however he grew up in his house, or however that environment played a part or not, I don't know. But yeah, the abuse is in every form.
Could you talk about it in like as far as like stalking? Is that really, is stalking considered domestic abuse, or is it just,
Yes,
is
it
that
is.
a crime within
Yes.
itself?
Yes, that's a big part of domestic violence, because a lot of times when women leave, the these guys don't want the relationship to end. They come to realize at that point that she's finally had enough of me and she's leaving. And a lot of them have that mindset where, well, if I can't have you, nobody else is going to have you. And if you read a lot of the stories in the newspaper about women who were murdered, stalking was usually present there before they were murdered. He'll follow her around. He'll come to her place of work, just trying to ask her come back. It's going to be different, but of course, a lot of women, they realize at that point it's not going to be different. It's he's only sorry until the next time he decides to do this. And
Now, what can the
the
police do
domestic
as far as
violence is
that?
all about control. That's really what it is. It's control.
Now, at what point in time, if a person is being stalked or something of that nature, you don't have to necessarily wait to be hit to call the police. So when could you call the police? When is it appropriate to call the police, where they can actually do something instead of just coming out and saying, "Well, did they do this, this, and this?" And you say, "Well, no." Well, then sorry, we can't help you.
Okay. Well, you would first have to start in the courts. You would first have to get a protection order that he's not to come, within X amount of miles of you. That's what you would have to do first. And then if he violates that order, of course, you call. But, sometimes they don't come as fast as they should, or, there's a lot of red tape with that too.
Do you find that a lot of these men who beat their wives also hurt their children, or is it just their wives?
Well, some of them do. Some of them do. There's different kinds of abusers. There's the guy who just, he'll beat up his wife and his children, but then when he goes out to the bar with a guy the same size or bigger than him, he's a chicken. He's just
Yeah,
basically,
Yeah.
yeah, it's funny, but yeah,
yeah.
when it comes to somebody his own size, he knows better. But now, when it comes to his wife and children, people who are weaker than him, then he's all okay. I could do this. He's assured of himself that he to do that. But yes, to answer your question, sometimes they just beat the woman, and a lot of cases they do physically abuse the children as well.
Oh my gosh.
I have to tell you, if anybody ever put their hands on my kids, I would go happily go to prison for killing them.
Yeah, I understand. I understand.
What if a
I'm
woman
dead
was married
serious.
to if a woman was married to someone that was like violent towards her and she got a divorce based on domestic violence, the question then becomes, even though he was violent towards her, if he was never violent towards the kids, they wouldn't really feel safe putting but by law, they have to allow them to see the children. Is that correct? So
Yes, they do. Even if
how do
he's
they
in,
feel about
yeah,
that?
even if he's incarcerated, he can ask for her to bring the children to the prison. Yes, that's how strong they always, the court always tries to give the fathers, some, how to explain it, like they don't they want to give they don't want to, they think in the best interest that the child should have a relationship with his father. So yeah, they're very strong with that. But I know a lot of women who've gone to court, trying to stop the visitation because there's problems going on with that. But sometimes, unless you could really prove that he's endangered your children, it's very hard. It depends on what judge you get, how much proof you could show. So it's a struggle for a lot of women.
So with
Well,
domestic and violence, I'm sorry, but I was just going to say, like with
Go ahead.
domestic violence, including verbal abuse, if he's saying things to the kids, that's simply not enough. If he's saying things that are not, not necessarily detrimental to their
Well,
mental health,
yeah.
that
Well,
doesn't really help.
yeah.
Correct?
It's kind of tricky because a lot of times his lawyer will say, "Well, she told the kid to say that." It's hard. Sometimes it's hard to prove that he's doing that, or it all depends on the judge that you get and what they feel at the moment, who's telling the truth, or it's tacky. It's not just cut and dry.
Now, do the courts have a way to remedy that? Do they have like a mediator that comes in, like an advocate for the kids only? You know how they have mediators in certain states for the children? Do they have someone that can kind of come in and say, well, okay, judge, based upon what we have, our little investigation, do they have anything up like that? Or are there laws that they can, you know, are
Well,
there things that,
okay. In most cases, the children themselves, they're appointed their own lawyer. Like the father has a lawyer, the mother has a lawyer, and then the court appoints the children themselves their own lawyer. And their lawyer will speak to them and try to get the truth out of them, or even like, if they're old enough, ask them, do you want to still visit, or is anything, when you do visit with your father, what's going on? Like I said, there's never one case cut and dry. It's always, things have to be proved, or depending on sometimes the age of the child too, when they can come forward and say what's happening. But they do have in the court, if sometimes I would imagine, like sometimes if they feel that they're not sure, they will. In other words, they'll have the visit set up in the court itself, and in a room where they could be observed with the visits, and then they could spot things too. The counselors there, they're trained to spot things that may be out of place.
so what would an advocate like yourself tell someone in that situation if there were children involved and they don't want to leave because of the children, and then putting them through that, because that's a process within itself, and that's going to damage them in some way psychologically. So what would be your advice to women who would stay solely for the children?
Okay, well, the first thing I learned when doing my advocacy was never to tell a woman to leave your husband, because a lot of times they don't want to leave because they still love this man. They don't want, they're not ready at this point. They maybe have not had enough abuse, and they still feel in their heart that they can change things, and that he'll get better, or, and, so the first, I never tell them to leave your husband, but what I do tell them is, I mean, unless there's children involved, then that's a different story, because it's not up to her then to make that decision. Their lives are involved too. So at that, if there's children there, then I would strongly urge her to leave. But most of it, like what I do tell them is, you're not in a good position right now. This could be dangerous, and but if I'm here to help you, and if when you're ready, if you need help, then reach out. This is what I would tell them. And a lot of them too, they may not have the means to leave. They may not have a mother or a sister's couch to go and take the kids and stay at her house. And a lot of them that I did speak with, they're very fearful of they're very fearful of the shelters. They kind of feel what's going to be going on in there, or am I going to be attacked in there? And a lot of women will stay, even if he's not hitting the children. They will stay and take the beating so that the children don't have to end up in the shelter. They're more afraid to put their children in that environment. We try to, but the shelters are good though. A lot of the domestic violence shelters, they're not really like you're thinking, the shelters for homeless people, where they're really, they're regulated. The rules are strict there, and they're pretty much safe. So if anybody out there is like thinking, well, okay, that part of like fear of the shelter, don't fear it so much. It's not as bad as you're thinking.
Um, the truth hurts brings up. She reminded me of someone that we knew very well, and what happened was she was abused, and she couldn't take it anymore, and while he was sleeping, she shot him in the head, and she had the bruises to prove it. She almost, I mean, she ended up beating it, but she almost didn't because she used a pillow, and they felt that using the pillow was premeditated.
Right, right. Well, that's very common too, for a lot of women. They do get them to the point where they end up killing them, especially if if they know that they really can't get away from him, that he's going to end up killing them eventually, or they just feel maybe they have left and he's found them again and again, and a lot of them, I guess or they could be in a like a confrontation with them, and just don't want to take another beating, and they do kill him or shoot him.
Well, I
Yeah.
always say they have to go to sleep sometimes, and ashtrays hurt. I'm not kidding. I would never tolerate somebody, anybody, I don't care who it is, putting their hands on me. Never. I'll never tolerate that. And I get upset. And I remember watching that movie, A Cry for Help, and like being so upset, and I'm yelling at my mother, and my mother said, um, Angel, not everybody, is like you. Women, there are women who are afraid. And I said to her, but yeah, but they have to close their eyes and go to sleep sometimes. They have to take a whatever ashtray, whatever candlestick. I don't care. You know, See, is it true? Am I wrong? Am I wrong? Because what happens if these women do stand up to these men and take a bat and hit them back? Does that guarantee that a death sentence for them, or what? Am I wrong for thinking like to me, my attitude is stand up for yourself. Like just like when we were young, and you got bullied, and then finally you hit that bully,
Right,
and
right.
or
You
you
stood up
fought
for
back,
yourself.
and that bully stopped.
Mm.
So am I wrong for that kind of thinking?
What I hear from a lot of women is that when an altercation breaks out, they're very afraid of him. Okay, and most of them kind of feel that even if they did hit him back, if they don't hit him hard enough, he's gonna really, he's gonna beat you up back even more worse than he beat you all the time. So, uh, it may not always be the safest thing to do to pick up a bat and hit him. And as far as being charged, I mean, it's just like anything else. Like whenever you go, somebody is tried for murder. Okay, there's always the defense lawyer and the prosecutor who's going to come up with this. No, it wasn't that. It wasn't. She did intend to kill him. So there really is a straight answer for that. Again, it's all depending on the jury. How the case goes.
I
Okay,
have a
so
question.
go
Go ahead.
ahead.
I'm sorry, Angel.
No, go
Yes,
ahead.
go
Go
ahead.
ahead.
I was going to say, what would you say to someone respectfully if they are raised in a culture or maybe a religion where it's really kind of shameful to leave your husband and you're kind of expected to be submissive, maybe because that's what your deity you feel subscribes to? How do you respectfully tell them women that maybe this is not what whatever they subscribe to religion wise, this is not what they would want for your life? How would you do that in a respectful manner without disrespecting their religion or culture?
Well, I would just simply say, what I would say to a woman who's not in the culture. You're not in a safe situation. This is not good for you. This is dangerous for you. But I find too that a lot of the ones that are in the culture, it's very hard to convince them, uh, because with them, the ones in the culture, it's not just getting away from the abuser. Sometimes they have to get away from the whole family, the brother-in-laws, even
Oh
their
my
own children.
God.
Even their own children don't accept them leaving the father. I mean, we hear a lot of these cases where the honor killings, where she dishonored the family by leaving, and they don't care whether she was getting beat up. That to them, this is a woman's place is she's property to the man. She's his property, and if he beats her, well, then that's okay. They accept it that way. And your own father, the woman's in a lot of cases of the father of the woman himself, he kills her too because she dishonored the family by leaving her husband.
Wow.
Sorry, but that's the culture.
I have chills. It's upsetting. I'm like on the verge of tears
Yeah.
because it's like
Yeah, I
it,
know. I know.
no, I'm serious because I have a dear friend who texted me and just said, Angel, listening to your show, this woman telling some of her stories of what was done to her is atrocious. Is there ways we can support what she is doing, like a website or social media she has?
Yeah, well, we can all be supportive. I mean, just what you're doing here tonight by allowing me to come here and bring awareness to this domestic violence. It's. I think one of the biggest thing is that we need to let women know that it's okay to get help. You don't have to hide those bruises. What's happening to you, you're not alone. There's tons of women. What's happening to you is happening to them as well. But again, a lot of them are very embarrassed to come out and say that this is happening to them. Or they're fearful to say anything. A lot of them are threatened that the spouse threatens them. If you say anything to anybody, I'm going to kill you, or I'm going to kill your sister.
Well,
So,
tell them to call me.
well, I'd love to
Angel.
do that, Angel.
Tell them to
I,
call me.
I,
Seriously, tell them to
yeah,
call me. Contact me. I'll come and help you, punks.
yeah, I know. It's sad. It's a sad situation. It is. Uh,
It's
Well, that's
horrible.
yeah, yeah. Well, that's why, like I said, after I left my abuser and I moved on with my life. I made it my life work to do this work, to reach out to as many women as I can. In one of the organizations that I belong to, what we did was we reached out to all the beauty parlors in New York City, most every one of them, because like if you want to reach women as many as you can. Where do women go mostly? The beauty parlor. uh, and so we reached out to all the beauticians, because they have a gift. All any beautician basically has a gift, for gathering with the client. They have the coffee pot there when you come in, and they'll be
Hmm.
talking about, okay, next week is my niece's wedding or whatever. And the beauticians have a really good gift
Oh,
for making
Jesus
friends and reaching
Christ.
out to women. So we reached out to them. We gave some training. One of like just we were just like, okay, if a woman comes in and you cutting her hair and you notice a bruise, you can like discreetly hand her a pamphlet, or if you do have some sort of friendship going on with her already, you could just, in a concerning way, just ask her, is something going on? Is there something I could do for you? Uh, because like I said, we wanted to reach out to as many women as we can, and that's why we reached out to all the beauty parlors, the majority of them. We just asked them to keep us a discreet pamphlets there, and
Pamphlets,
yeah, and then,
yes.
and then but of course to do it very discreetly, because whoever the woman is, she wouldn't want the lady on the next hair cutting sheet to know what's
Exactly.
going on. So, we would ask her to just, when she comes up to pay the bill, just discreetly hand us something, a piece of a card or some literature to get help.
Low rider girl, you just made the hairs on my arm stand up. She said, my cousin's daughter went through tragedy with her boyfriend.
Yeah, yeah, and that's another
He
problem.
killed,
Yeah,
well, I didn't finish.
I'm
He
sorry. Go
killed their
ahead.
9 month old baby, shot the
Oh
baby
my
in the
God,
head.
my God. Mhm. Well, that's a common story. You read that in the paper a lot of times, that
It's
they when
sickening. It's
you know
sickening.
right, when the woman leaves them, he's not going to allow that to happen. It's either he's going to have her and the children, or nobody's going to have them. And a lot of times they do kill the women and the children, and then they kill themselves. That's a very common story. You read that a lot in the paper. It's very sad.
Yeah.
But I think one of the things too that we need to do, which I might be going to doing next, is we need to reach like young girls in high school, or high school, even younger, because who, like, a lot of times they're in their own house that domestic violence is going on, and they're getting a poor example of what a healthy relationship should be. They may go to school but not talk to anybody about what's going on behind closed doors. Or
Yeah.
a lot of them have low self-esteem for whatever the reason may be. So what I wanted to try to do was to, go to a lot of the high schools and talk to the young girls, even young boys, because again, in an abusive relationship, sometimes the girl could be the abusive one too. But I think we need to catch these girls before they end up with these guys. In other words, the only thing that they see, or if they're seeing this going on in their own family, well, then that's what they're going to think. Well, okay, this is normal. This is what's the difference? So we need to educate them that there is a difference and that no one has the right to put their hands on you. You need to have any relationship you have, it needs to be a healthy relationship.
That's how I raised my daughter. I raised my daughter that nobody ever, never ever should ever talk down to you, should try to control you. God forbid they ever put their hands on you. But I raised my daughter that she didn't take any crap like that. Um, but my daughter, I also raised her where, with so much confidence, like you're the prettiest girl on the block. You're the prettiest girl in the neighborhood. You're this, you're that, you're intelligent, you know what I mean? So I understand. I think that's a great idea to go to high schools and even middle schools and talk to these
Yes, even the middle
children.
schools. Yes,
Yes.
yeah. Well, you see, fortunately, your daughter, okay, like you said, you keep her self-esteem in check. Like you said, you tell her she's beautiful. But unfortunately, there's a lot of young girls that they're not getting that experience from home. Their
It's
their
very
self their
sad.
Mhm.
self-esteem is very low. And another thing with domestic violence, because a lot of people say, how do they get involved with these kind of guys? But a lot of these abusers, uh, they're very charming. They are. They have, when you first meet them, they're very, very charming. Okay, they're gonna give you a lot of attention right away, sending you gifts, so much attention, and you're like, wow, this. And you know but but then there's that other side of them, that is the abusive side. It's like, if you go on a date for the first time with a guy or whatever, and he smacks you, well, of course you're not going to go on another date with him anymore. It's the first date, you barely know him, he smacked, you're going to walk away. But now if you've been with this guy and he's been grooming you, you know what I'm saying, letting you, showing
Exactly.
you the nice side of him, when he starts to show you the bad side of him, you're already connected to him.
Exactly.
He's not gonna first meet you and say, "Hey, I'm here to wreck your life." These guys show a very charming side to them at first, sending gifts, giving your mother flowers. They're really making
Yeah.
you feel like you're very special until they unleash the real person.
I didn't even think of that. You're right.
Yeah,
Like,
Yeah.
yeah, they're not
yeah.
going to smack you on the first date.
Of course not. They're not going to, I'm here to wreck your life. I mean, common sense, most people, if they did go on a first date with someone and that person turned around and smacked them, I mean, that would be for most people, that would be the end of it. Oh, that's, I'll avoid this
Yeah,
person,
because they would end up underneath the tires of my car.
Well,
Yeah.
yeah. Okay, Angel. That's nice.
You think I'm kidding? I would never tolerate anybody putting their hands on me. So and it's enraging me right now that there are punks. They're nothing but punks beating up women. I mean, it's horrible.
It
Beating up
is.
children.
It
I
is.
I take I hate any kind of abuse. Even when they beat their children or they abuse their children in any way, they abuse animals. It drives me crazy. And it's
Yeah.
like you never know, you never know what you can do to stop it. You're not
Right.
like you feel helpless.
Right. Well, again, too, for a lot of women, they have children with this man. They've already established a relationship with him. Sometimes it's not just easy to walk away. That this is not what they signed up for. They're thinking of, Cinderella, the Prince Charming comes along, and this is my life, what it's going to be. And to face the reality that this man is not Prince Charming, it's not always easy for them. Especially when they have time invested in this man, that he's the father of their children, or because I've heard from a lot of them, they don't want to leave. They just want them to stop hitting them. But of course, that doesn't happen. Usually,
We have another
once,
question.
yes, go ahead, Marla.
It actually segued into what you were talking about. The question is, why do these women continue having children with these abusers, knowing it will only make it harder to leave?
Well, some of these men have a lot of sexual control over their these women. When they want sex, this woman is to be submissive to them. They're afraid to tell them no. Not like I said, not everybody is like Angel, where the
I
it's
would never
hard to
tolerate, and I
yeah
don't mean that. Listen, I don't mean to put anybody down who went through that. You know what I mean? I'm not put like, especially you. I'm not saying, oh, I'm tougher than you. It's just that I was bullied when I was younger. I was bullied, and my father used to get so crazy with me. Like, why are you letting them do this to you? You have to pick up anything. Somebody bigger than you hit you, or hurt you. You pick up whatever you could find and you hit them with it. And I never listened. And then one day I did. And
well, good for you.
I
Good for
did,
you.
and thank God it was a plastic bat and not a real bat, because that kid would have
Yeah,
been, forget it. But
yeah.
so
Good.
then from that day forward, because once I did that, he ran in the house and he was crying, and his mother made him apologize to me. But that's my point. It's like I
Yeah,
I how can I explain this? I understand your situation because my grandmother went through it, with my grandfather, but only he was the worst father and husband on the planet, but he was the greatest grandfather that God ever created, you know.
right.
So I didn't understand. Like I said, well, why did she stay? Why did she stay? Because at the time she had 11 kids,
Right.
and back then, especially, but today you would think that there's more help for these women. Like, who helps these women if they need to get out of this kind of a situation? Like, who helps them now? Who is it?
Okay, well, there's plenty of numbers that they could call that you'll see in the train station in different places. But in New York City, we have each borough has what we call the Family Justice Center. There's one in every borough: Brooklyn, Manhattan, Staten Island, the Bronx, Queens. Every borough has this family justice center. So you can go into there and they'll help you. They'll assist you right
What
away.
is
You
it
don't.
called? I'm
Okay,
gonna
it's
make a
called.
banner right now.
Okay,
Family.
okay, the Family Justice Center. You could call 311 and find out the number of the one that's in your borough. Like if you live in
Okay.
Queens, if you're living in Queens, you could call 311 and they'll give you the number of the Queens Family Justice Center. Each borough has its own.
Okay.
Now, when you go into there, they have a lot of things to assist you with. They even have their own little police department in there where they can help you to get an order of protection. And if you're really in danger, they could assist you. They could, to get you into a shelter. They could do that for you too. They speak many different languages, and like they have programs in there too, where like let's say if a woman she can't really make enough money to leave and sustain herself, they'll help you to get a job. They really have a lot of resources when you get there.
Yeah, that's what I was going to ask you too. So do they have to go to a shelter, or are they
It
protected?
depends. It depends. Some of them don't come in there because they're not like at the moment may not be in an emergency situation, but they're tired of the abuse and they're looking to get help. So they're not like really ready to be thrown to be brought into a shelter, but they will go in there to try to get information so that to plan their to leave the man to plan it slowly because sometimes
Hmm.
they just can't pick up and leave. They may not have a mother or a sister where they could go to her house to say, okay, I'm coming, with the kids, and not all of them have that, that luxury.
The truth hurts. I can't even talk. The truth hurts. Wants to know who supports these women. Do they provide housing for these women and children?
Well, they have a lot of vouchers that they've been giving. If only if you're running from a dangerous situation, you would go into a shelter, and then from there they would plan to give you a voucher to get a place, an apartment. But
Yeah. Does uh, places like Catholic Charities help these women?
I, I'm not
I
sure
know
if Catholic
Catholic
Charity.
Charity has some kind of a program where they give housing. I'm just not sure of what kind of situation you have to be in for that.
Right. Well, I think the Catholic Charity was giving a lot of housing to people with AIDS. A lot, yeah, a lot of other charity type things. I'm not sure.
Okay.
Yeah, but
So you've never heard of them doing that for
I
domestic
haven't heard that.
violence?
They may
Oh, okay.
help with domestic
Okay.
violence, but you're better off going to the Family Justice Center, because there they have all the counselors there. They have all the resources there. uh, they'll direct you, because not everybody needs the same amount of help. Some people just need a couple, how to get a better job, or to get an order of protection. Every woman that walks through that door has a different situation.
Okay, so that's the Family Justice Center, and that's in every borough. What about on
Every
Long
borough
Island?
has its
What
own.
about what about
No,
Long
not in
Island?
no, no, only in New York City. Only in the
Oh,
five.
really?
Well, now Long Island may have their own. They
Okay.
may they may have their own as well. They may, but I'm,
Okay.
I'm just familiar with the ones in the boroughs of New York City, because that's
Okay.
where I
And what
live in.
about so do you think that they have them in other states as well?
I know that they've been working on it. Just only it started in Manhattan, the main one, and then of course they opened it in Brooklyn and the Bronx. Staten Island was the last borough that we waited the longest for. Ours is only about 2 years it's been here. So they I would imagine they're expanding it in a lot of different places.
Okay. And do you do this all the time? You go to do you have any involvement with the family justice centers?
Well, I did make a clip for them, for the mayor's office, for one, just like a voluntary clip, uh, just like a sort of a
I saw
commercial
you
for
sent
them.
that to me. I saw,
Yeah.
and now I want to apologize to you about something because I didn't know if you were real or not. So
Oh,
that when that's
that's
why I was
okay.
the way that I was. Like there's a lot of lunatics on here.
I
And
know.
so
I know.
I didn't I said I'm gonna give this person my phone number. Oh my God, I'm not doing it. And then the emails and I didn't even you see how I was? I didn't even want to give out my email. But
No, I don't
then
blame you. There's a lot of nutty people out
there's
there.
too many nut
Yeah.
jobs on here that
Yeah.
I've had even problems with who's even like
Right.
gone after my kids, my daughter, my son. So I was worried about it. But now,
Right.
I apologize. And of course, I
Oh,
will
don't
give you my
mention it.
phone number. Yeah,
Don't
no, I will
don't
give you my
mention
phone number and any help that you
it.
need or anytime you want to come back or anything. Like,
Yes, well,
don't even
yeah,
hesitate.
yeah. I've been dabbling a little bit with sex trafficking. That's
Oh,
not, yeah, because
really?
that's not really my field. But I have attended some of the workshops and stuff. I dabbled a little bit in it. So, and I do, like, last year I made a public speech in Foley Square in Manhattan. I spoke out for Denim Day. I don't know if you're aware of Denim Day, what that is.
No.
Okay, well, Denim Day started in Italy about 20 years ago. There was a young girl, and she wanted to take driving lessons, and the instructor came to pick her up. And instead of taking her for the driving lessons, he took her somewhere in Italy, some place, quiet place, and he raped her. So of course, she after she went home told the parents, and he was arrested. They went to court and they went to trial. And the wind up in the trial was that the judge said to her, well, you were wearing those skinny jeans that are very, very tight. So I don't think that he raped you. You must have helped him take that. You would have had to help him take those jeans off.
Oh my
So
God.
yeah. So now when this happened all over the world, there was outrage from women all over the world. All the countries began to protest about this. So then, what happened is they made what they call Denim Day, and it's usually the first week or two in April, and exactly what day it is this year, but all over in California and a lot of the states, a lot of women come together on that day, to bring awareness to sexual assault. So I did some speaking with that in Foley
Okay.
Square in Manhattan. And but anyway, going back, yes, maybe we could do a follow-up show where we could talk a little bit about the sexual abuse.
Oh, anytime, Carolyn, anytime. I just want to read this by Low Rider Girl. She says singer Ernestine Romero and her husband, Jesse Saucedo, I'm horrible with names, was a murder suicide. The San Francisco PD also said the couple had been living separately in recent weeks. He killed her because she wanted to leave him. I'm
Yeah.
so
Well, it's
sad.
that's a very common story. Like I said, if you pay attention to the newspapers, you'll see that almost every day another woman is murdered at the hands of her spouse. And again, that statistic is in this country alone, all the states, okay, including all the states, we lose 3 to 4 women a day that are murdered, by their husbands, their spouse or boyfriend. That's that,
Wow.
that's a staggering number. That is.
Sorry, ladies. Believe all women. It's an industry. The court's money. Grown adults. You'd be shocked what kids have to put up with. Crazy moms and dads. I guess he was I'll say a victim of that. Crazy moms and dads. And verbal abuse. Sexy Jack says verbal abuse and mental abuse is just as bad. Do you think that?
Oh yes, well that's why I went to City Hall and I gave testimony in front of the legislator because okay, like there are these domestic violence laws in place, but they were mainly, just for assault. Okay, you'll only be punished if you hit the woman. Now they're going to be punished if you do things like, that kind of coercion, that kind of inhuman treatment. You don't have to, it's not that there's a human touch where you physically hurt the person, but like for example, with the woman who was forced to keep her bathroom door open,
Right.
whatever, okay, again, he didn't physically assault her, but look at the mental harm that he did to her. That should be like a clause, a coercion in domestic violence, and that's what we've been fighting for. But now I'm very happy to say that Mayor Adams finally signed the papers, and we do have that coercion law here in New York State City.
Okay, wait, what are you talking about? So the Mayor Adams, he signed what papers?
Okay, well, we wanted to put the coercion as a clause, sort of like just an extension to the law. That if you okay, you will be punished not just for hitting your spouse, or you're going to be punished if you do something economically bad to them, like like open up a credit, or if when they were well, a lot of women when they live with these abusers, he'll only just give them a few dollars a day, or if they do have a job, they have to turn all their money over to the abuser, to the husband. So
Right.
that's sort of coercive control. They're not, that's her salary. It's sort of abuse. It's considered abuse when they do
Right.
that. So
Right.
so coercion could be economic coercion where money is involved, where again where he'll open up credit cards under her name, and then of course when they're not together anymore, she can't even get a credit card because he's messed up her whole credit line. Just we didn't want domestic violence to just be a physical thing, that when you physically harm somebody. We want them to be punished for for the other things that are sort of they're not the physical abuse, but they do cover that, you've harmed that person either mentally or economically.
Isn't that a
Wow.
slippery slope? Is
I'm
that
not
kind of
sure.
like a is that kind of a slippery? I mean, I understand the situation with the lady using the bathroom and him, like that's insane, that's crazy, but I don't I just I mean, it's like with the credit cards or handing over the money. I mean, like that you aren't they in a way giving consent? I mean, if you're giving it to him, then you're okay with giving it to him.
Yes,
Isn't that
Marla, right, Marla, but you need to understand that these women are constantly under fright from these men, okay? A lot of them are brainwashed, or, they fear them. They really fear this man, what he's capable of doing to them. They do conform to everything that he says sexually, and everything that he wants them to conform to. I understand what you're saying. You and
yeah.
I, we look at it like, okay, what do you mean? You know what I'm saying? But a lot of these women, they come from low self-esteem backgrounds, or they over the years of abuse, they sort of groom now to take that abuse. They're sort of brainwashed. It's hard for
Right.
you to understand.
Yeah.
Psychology would understand it a little bit better, but honestly, that's
Yeah.
exactly what happens. They're deadly afraid of these guys. A lot of them end up dead when they leave and they say, "Okay, I've had enough. This is it. I'm leaving. I am no longer coming back. You could forget. This is it. This is really it." That's when they're murdered. That's how fearful they are of them.
I was just thinking of it from the perspective of you were saying like some of these women really are in love with these men and they don't want to leave. They just want the abuse to stop. So, if they were to go that route with the whole economic coercion thing, it's kind of like, well, did you do it because you loved him or did you do it out of fear? So now we have to like kind
Well,
of figure out that.
each situation is different. Like some of them, they put up with the abuse because they still love him and they don't want him to leave. And some of them put up with the abuse for other reasons. They don't have anywhere to go. They're fearful of going into a shelter, or they're just not ready to leave. They don't feel that they could go out there and get an apartment and sustain themselves.
Have you met any men that were abused by their wives?
Yes, I have run into a couple of men who have been abused by women. Yeah,
Really?
yeah. And sadly for them, it's really really sad for them, because it's very embarrassing. I mean, for a woman to say, "Okay, well, my a man hit me," is one thing, but for a man to come out and say that a woman hit him, it's a lot of these guys, they even stay more silent with the abuse because they're afraid to the other men, to their peers,
The
that this has
ridicule,
happened.
right? The
Right,
ridicule.
of course, yes, yes, yes. I've run across a few of them.
Oh
Yeah,
God.
I've heard some stories, the opposite way of, being abused.
Um, Lori Love says, Angel, thank you for having Caroline as your guest. Carolyn, well, how do you say your name? Carolyn or
Just
Caroline?
Caroline, just Caroline.
Caroline,
Yeah, Caroline.
as your guest tonight, bringing awareness to this subject is important. The numbers of violence against women are high. To pay it forward, I volunteered. I think that's great,
That's
Lori
great.
Love.
That's
Yes,
I
awesome.
think that's
yes,
great.
yes. It's great. It is great.
That is great.
It is great. Well,
Carol,
yeah. Go ahead. Go
Carol
ahead.
says, how do you help someone when they cut off all contact with their family and you know they need help, but their spouse won't allow the help to be given? Carol, if you want to come on, I'll
Uh-huh.
drop the link for you. Cause so how do you help someone when they cut off all contact with their family and you know they need help, but their spouse won't allow the help to be given? What do you say to that?
Well, of course, we direct them for resources. We ask them, "Do you have a trusted friend or someone you could talk to?" On many occasions, I carry my business card on me. Well, it's like an advocacy card with my number and email, and I always give it to every woman that I come across, and I tell them whether it's 10 o'clock at night, if you're feeling down or you just feel like you need to talk to someone, I'm here to listen. I want to hear you, and I want to listen to what you have to, call me. I that's because I've dedicated my life to this here.
Wow. Mr. Smith is a former police officer, and he says, good question, Carol. All I was able to do was enforce the law and or provide resources to the domestic violence victim if I couldn't make an immediate arrest.
Right, and sometimes we try to reach these women. We try, to talk to them. Of course, I always stay with the rule. I never tell a woman, leave your husband, because they may not be ready to leave. And then they feel victimized all over again. They feel that I don't understand or I'm not, you know, I can't leave. So why you keep telling me to leave for? We want them to have trust in us. We just say, okay, you're not in a good situation, but when you're ready, we're here to back you up.
Oh
When you're
God.
when you're ready, I'm here to direct you to the resource.
Yes,
You know what I'm
yes.
saying? You can't force somebody to leave. Every woman's mind and every person's mind, for whatever reason they do things, is different. Yeah,
Jason,
yeah. Well,
I'm sorry. Go
go ahead.
ahead.
Go ahead. No, I just feel that, like I said before, we don't have a vaccine like we have a vaccine for COVID. We don't have a vaccine for domestic violence. But all we could do is just keep, trying to make awareness of it, reaching as many women as we can, especially younger women, because that's one of the goals I want to do.
Yes.
I want to try to reach these younger women. Because I wish when I was 17 or 18 years old that someone would have spoke to me and said, what, this is not right what he's doing. You don't deserve that. But of course, I didn't have that. I had, and to mention, I had very low self-esteem at the time as well. But I just we want to catch them before they end up with these guys. Let them, you're a young woman, just like any older woman who's been through a lot. Now you have the experience. These girls don't have that experience. They haven't lived that already. So if we could kind of like, and they may not always listen, we could talk ourselves blue and they may not take our advice, but maybe they will keep it somewhere in the back of their head. And if they are being abused, a bell may ring or something. But mostly we want them to know that there's help out there. This is not like back in your mother's day, when you called the cops and they came and they said, "Oh, come on, buddy, take a walk around the corner and just cool off." And then an hour later, he's back doing this. He's back in the house, and it's just like nothing happened.
Right.
We're not back in those days anymore. We have resources now. Every police department has domestic violence officers that are trained for this kind of thing. They take a certain training, so when they get to the house, to kind of understand what's going on, they're more familiar with the domestic violence situation.
Right. I remember at one point, I don't remember which politician was advocating for, instead of sending the police to a domestic violence situation, send a social worker. Um, does that seem a little crazy to you? Wouldn't you rather a police officer go to the house than a social worker?
Yeah, well, I've heard about that. We've spoken about that, and it has been debated. Personally, I would rather a police officer go because, domestic violence situations, unlike a lot of calls that the police department gets, they're very violent. They're very dangerous because, it's usually a family person that's enraged or, those calls are, they tend to be more violent. So in my perspective, I would really, yeah, I would say have a police officer come there.
Without a doubt, I would rather a police officer than
Yeah.
a social worker. And Jason, I guess you proved me wrong, because Jason says my mom did that to my younger brother days fought back while sleeping, and he got better and came back and kicked the door in, gun blazing and firing. If it wasn't for me, she'd be dead.
Mm, yeah.
Are there cases where if a woman does call for help in domestic violence, where they can both get arrested? I saw something.
Yes, yes, yes.
Oh,
You
wow.
know, okay, well, years ago, when the police were called, in order for them to take the guy away, the husband away, or the boyfriend, whatever, the woman had to press charges. Otherwise, they wouldn't arrest him or take him away. That was considered, well, that's just a family problem. He didn't break into your house. This is not just a stranger, it's a stranger thing. But now today, when the police do show up, if they find the woman bruised, they automatically can arrest them, and she doesn't have to press charges. Because a lot of women are afraid to press charges because now he's going to be more angry after you press charges against him. And chances are with a lot of these women, that's again, they're probably going to end up back with him again at some point if they haven't really made the final decision to leave. And of course, they're going to pay the price for having him arrested. He's going to be more mad. And the next time a fight breaks out, he's going to bring that up. Well, you called the police and you had me arrested. So today, women don't have to go through that anymore. If they come and you have a bruise, he's going to be arrested. And if you're both bruised, then you're both going to be arrested. That's how it works.
Okay.
And one of the problems too we have is strangulation. Okay, because that's part of domestic violence too. Uh, we did what we call sort of like we wanted to see like uh, take like a timeline. Okay, so we took a couple of these cases of women who were murdered by the husband, and because we wanted to see what could have been done different. We took the very beginning of the timeline when she first called in the beginning of the relationship, when maybe it was the violence wasn't so severe, the whole case up until she was murdered. And in a lot of the cases, if he strangled her somewhere along the way, whether it was 6 months ago, a year ago, you could rest assured that in almost 80% of the cases, they were murdered. In other words, if he strangled you, if he escalates the violence that high enough, because now when you strangle somebody, you're going to another level of violence. So if he's done that to you, chances are you're going to be murdered. Death is coming, whether it's a month from now or a year from now, once he's escalated that amount of violence.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, that's what we found in the timeline, that these women that were murdered, more than likely, they were strangled somewhere along the way. They weren't strangled to the point where they died. They were probably just strangled enough to pass out and then regain consciousness again. And that's a problem too, because a lot of times when a woman is strangled, when the police do show up, okay, she doesn't even remember that she was strangled because she might have gone unconscious. And when she does come back to her consciousness again, he could be telling the cops every other thing. Maybe one of the neighbors called the cop, and and a lot of times when they've been strangled, they're not talking properly because the air and blood supply has been cut off from them. So they
Right.
could be talking gibberishly, okay? And the cops doesn't even take them seriously. Well, she's been drinking or something. So that creates a problem too. Only like a professional looking at the woman, because when a woman, a lot of times when anybody is strangled, you get what they call petechiae. They're little tiny red dots that appear around your
Yes.
face and sometimes on your neck, because it's almost like an aneurysm where the blood shot up and boom,
Yeah.
and now these little specks are there. So that's what they're trying to train even the EMS workers to notice that, to see that they've been strangled. And a lot of times, what happens is with that strangulation, they may feel better in a couple of hours, but some sort of damage has been done that somewhere down the road, a month later, they could die from that strangulation. They may be feeling okay now, but something was damaged somehow or another. And a month later they could collapse just from what happened, the previous month before. They don't even know that problem is already there. So they try to train the doctors and EMS workers to look for those signs of strangulation.
Oh my God.
Oh,
Yeah, it's sad, but the best thing that we could do is we just need to keep bringing awareness, and mostly let women know that you're not alone. Don't suffer in silence. Don't be afraid to tell somebody what's happening. And
Exactly.
a lot of them don't. They really don't. They're embarrassed to tell the mother or somebody or anybody, a friend, what he's been doing to them. They just feel that they'll be looked upon like, or they'll be looked down on because this is happening in their family. Oh, well, that doesn't happen in their family. Only in my family I'm being abused. You know, there's a lot of such sad situations to it.
Oh my God. Um, are you gonna give us some phone numbers?
Yes, I was going to say I'm going to give my office telephone number because, like I said before, any woman who's listening in now who's being abused, I want to hear you. Okay, you're not alone. I want you to know that, and I will give you my telephone number. If when you call, if I not can't answer the phone at that moment, leave a message, and I will gladly call you back. Just where I could kind of calm you down, help you, and give you some support and put you in the right direction for resources.
Very good. You want to
Well, yes, I guess I'll give that now. Okay.
yeah, because I'm gonna make a banner for it and I'll put it in the
Okay.
description
Great,
also. Go
great.
ahead.
And also I have several other advocate women that work alongside of me. They're very wonderful, very warm. They're also all they're all survivors as well, so they know what you're going through. They're very warm, and just like me, they would be willing to help you too. I could refer you to them too. Some of them
Okay.
some of them work in trauma. Okay, so in the meantime, let me. Okay, so my name is Caroline. You already know that. It's written up on
Yeah.
the screen. Okay, the telephone number is 718-938-8963.
Okay. I'm gonna make.
So if you're going through any kind of crisis, don't be embarrassed. Just come forward, call me because I want to hear you. I want to listen to you.
Let me just put this. It's 718. Is that little dash? Oh, 938-8963. Right?
Yes, that's correct, Angel.
Okay. Let me just put that up too. There we go.
Okay. I just want to mention one other
Mention
resource.
whatever you want. You don't have to
Yes.
leave. How long you want to stay is how long we'll stay here.
Okay, well, I guess another 10 minutes.
Okay, good.
Okay, so I wanted to leave you. There's another organization, and they specially help Black African American women, because African American women sometimes with discrimination they don't get the right help that they need. So this, okay, it's called the Warm Organization.
Hold on, let me
W.
write it down.
Okay, go ahead.
Warm, WARM.
Yes, WARM.
Okay.
And what it stands for is we all really matter. And
Oh,
they have
wow.
okay, they basically work out of Harlem, and they have a tremendous resources. They can assist you with, they'll come get you, they'll get you into a shelter, they'll find an advocate to escort you to court if you're feeling afraid, or just to help you get through the day.
Okay.
They're a very, very wonderful, warm organization, and I do a lot of work together with them.
Okay, let me just okay. And you have their phone number?
Yes, I do.
Go ahead.
Okay, that would be 917
917
736
Oh, wait, I'm sorry. 7.
Okay, go
What did
ahead.
I
I'll start.
do?
Okay,
Wait, yeah,
let's start again.
9177
Okay, 917-736
Okay,
1046.
okay. And let's put that up too. Warm organization 917-736-1046.
That's correct.
Okay, so I'm gonna put these all in the description as well, all these phone numbers. I think I should have changed this. Hold on.
Okay,
Let
take your
me
time. Take
yeah,
your
I
time.
just want to change this because I don't think it's uh it's spelled the way that I did. It's probably bigger letters, right?
Yes, they're capital letters.
Yeah, right, they are. I figured
WARM, the
that.
Warm Organization. Yeah.
Okay. And then here we go. Save. Okay, so I'll put all these numbers in the
Yes.
description. And you have anything else to add to the
Yeah. What I did want to mention is there's a website, and it's okay. A call to men. Okay. So
what
you
is
can.
it? I'm sorry,
Okay.
what is it?
Okay. It's a call to men.
A
A
call to men?
Right. Okay. And I believe on this website, well, let's say a man he's having a problem with abuse, he could, go to there and try to get some help for, what's going on with him with his issues.
Okay.
And
And
of
you have a
course,
phone number?
I don't have a phone number. That's just a website.
Oh, okay. So it's a calltomen.com.
No, no, just a call to men. Just the four words. A call to men. It's a website. You could
Oh,
Google it.
okay.
You can Google that and get some information on there too.
Okay. A
And
call
and
to
of
men.
course, you can always dial 311 and ask for any of the domestic violence hotline numbers. And
Oh, okay. So
they'll right.
there is a 311 number for any
Well,
domestic
31
violence.
Yeah, well, 311 you could call for
Yes,
sanitation,
right.
a multitude of things. But if you do call them, they will give you information on a number to reach for if you're in a domestic violence crisis.
Okay. Right there. Let me just edit that too. Hold on. Hold on. Wow. So dial 311 and you ask for domestic
Right,
violence help.
right, right.
Okay.
Just like you would dial and say, when is the garbage pickup?
Right, right.
Yeah, there's a multitude of things you could call 311 for.
Hello, MRE. How are you, MRE? Um, okay. Let me see. Does anybody have any questions?
I have one.
Go right ahead, my
Yes, go ahead.
darling Marla.
Yeah, you said in the beginning when you started out that you worked with people from all walks, like your organization or you guys have worked with people from all walks of life. Do you know of any examples of where you've helped women or where women who maybe because some people may view domestic violence as maybe a middle class or a lower class issue. They may never think that it happens to people with money. So does your organization help people? Like, is there an income like with the resources? Like if you make too much, if they're married, like that type of thing?
No, 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 no. We'll help anybody, no matter who you are. We'll help
Okay.
you. You go into the Family Justice Center. It doesn't matter who you are. They'll help you and assist you if you need to get an order of protection. Like I said, every woman who walks through that door, a situation is different. So when you go in, they'll evaluate you. It doesn't matter what nationality you are. They even have several different languages. They could get someone to interpret to you in your comfortable your native language.
Gotcha. And obviously, like you guys, it's obviously like no matter who they're married to, if somebody powerful or somebody who might know somebody, the discretion is always there, and you guys can make accommodations for those people as well, correct?
Right. Well, like I said, we don't really force anybody or demand that anybody do anything. We're basically there to bring awareness and to help with resources, to
Gotcha.
direct you to resources. My major work is bringing awareness. I even go sometimes down into the subways in downtown Brooklyn with posters with a couple of other advocates down in the dirty subway, and we're there.
Oh
Uh,
God.
yeah, I mean we're there dressed in purple, and uh, we have a lot of literature with us, and we get women come over. We have the signs, and they'll come to the table, and we'll give them a pamphlet. We'll direct them to the Family Justice Center. We'll just talk to them too, because a lot of times they're not sure what they want to do. They're not sure. Do I really want to tell somebody what's going on? Do I really want to get the Family Justice Center involved? They, they may be a little hesitant, but one of the things is that when they begin to understand that we're all survivors, because the women that I work with are all survivors of domestic violence. So when they realize that, it's kind of like, okay, well, I don't have to be too embarrassed to tell you what's going on, because you've lived through that already. So just bringing awareness too is for me, that's basically most of the work that I do, bringing awareness.
What are the statistics? Do you know? Like, is it a certain is it a certain oh man, what's the word I'm looking for? Um wow, my mind went totally blank.
Okay,
Like the
that's
like this
okay.
this the statistics, like are are there more white women, poor women, rich women, black women, Hispanic women? Like what's the
Well,
statistics?
black and brown women do have the highest statistic of domestic violence.
Are you kidding me?
Yeah.
And what about the like are they poor? Are they rich? Are they, middle class? You know what I'm like, does it matter?
I'm not really sure of that answer. I just know that when the last time I checked with the statistics, they do have a higher. I would imagine because maybe with more low income, uh,
My
in
God.
a sense.
Is it
My
true that
God.
most people that suffer from domestic violence don't report it? Is that a true statistic, or is there any truth to that?
Yeah, yeah, that is true. That is true. A good portion of the we don't even sometimes we can't even know what the statistics are, because a lot of women don't come forward, and a lot of it goes unreported.
Yeah, that's what MRE just said. Most women don't report domestics.
Right, right. They don't, especially like like amongst immigrants, because they're afraid that if the cops are called, and then okay,
Oh,
so
right.
yeah, so they don't have immigration
So
status,
so
you know.
right. So the illegal immigrants, is that okay to call them that? Or immigrants altogether? They won't report it because they're afraid they'll get
Yeah, some
the
of them.
cops will
Yeah.
come. Yeah,
No.
but I thought that the police don't do that anymore.
No, but what I mean is, let's say if an immigrant woman is having her spouse arrested, okay, and he's not a citizen, that could be a problem for him, to
Yeah, so
deportation.
does wouldn't she want him? Yeah, good. Get out. Let them come and take him away.
Sometimes not, because for immigrant women and families, they don't have the means that we do. They're not always entitled to benefits. Uh, you know, the immigrant husband may not have a job where there's a high a salary coming in. Whatever meager salary he might be making, they need that for the family. Like
So
again,
they'll
like I said,
tolerate abuse instead.
sometimes, yeah.
That's
Well,
very sad. That's even sadder than
yeah, in a lot of the immigrant communities, they do have a fear of the police. They have a fear that something will happen if they call them, or the police get involved with the situation. Sometimes,
Wow.
yeah,
Wow. Very, very sad. Very sad.
yeah.
And MRE says, God bless you.
Oh, thank you, thank you. Well, we want to try to make a better world for tomorrow. And bring the community, try to heal the communities, uh, and even child abuse too. I mean, that's another thing I just wanted to mention. I don't deal much in that. I've seen some of it. I just wanted to say, if you see a child being abused, don't look away. Make a call. Do
I
something.
would listen to me.
Yeah.
If I ever see a child being abused, I feel sorry for the people abusing that child.
Okay, Angel. I can.
Because,
I
like
can.
my father told me, pick up something, anything. And right now, my pocketbook is pretty heavy. So,
Yeah.
somebody
Well,
ever
a
puts a hand on
child.
a child or
Yeah.
an
Yeah.
animal in front of me,
Yeah.
they'll regret it.
Yeah, well, and I guess that an animal and a child doesn't really have unless
Exactly. We
an
need to
adult,
open up.
they're,
Yeah.
they're too small to defend themselves. But just to say, make that call, and try not to look away, because that child's life, his future might be in your hands,
a
if
hundred
the child
percent
is
even
being
if you
abused.
see
Yeah.
even if you see like my sister-in-law is a teacher for autistic children, and sometimes she sees things and she has to say something, like she has to do it,
Right.
you
Well, they're
know.
mandatory to report. Teachers.
Exactly,
Right, teachers,
exactly.
and social workers. That's mandatory for them to report abuse. Yeah. But sometimes people don't want to get involved, and it's understandable. You feel that there's going to be some retaliation, but then you have to just kind of like think again that that the future of that child is their life is in your hands. Sometimes, whether
It's
you
so
make whether
sad.
you make that call or not, that's depending on the future for them, their future.
It's very, very sad. Very sad. Eh,
It is, but
Jen
we have to
Silo,
just keep hoping.
yeah, Jen Silo says it's very difficult for non-citizens to report domestic violence because financial reasons in most
Yes.
cases.
Yes, I mean, because a lot of undocumented immigrants, okay, they can't just go to the post office and get a job, and whatever jobs they do, like maybe washing dishes in a restaurant, that's not those jobs that don't have much of an income. So to have the boyfriend, to have the husband arrested, then what? You're going to go get a job. You're an immigrant yourself. You're illegal. You're taking a chance by being deported.
Oh
So
my
where do
God.
it's like a double whammy for them.
Wow.
Mm.
Really, really, really sad. So
Yeah.
sad. You
Mm.
know, like I really wish that I really wish that there was so much more that we can do. You know, like really, like I fool around when I say, yeah, yeah, I'll run you over with my car, but it's so frustrating. It's
I
so
know,
frustrating
Angel.
because you
I
want to
know.
help, especially me. I want to help everybody. It's very frustrating.
True. That's true. That's true.
You know,
I
you
I
just want
come
to
here.
help everybody, and it's very frustrating that there's not that kind of help out there for them.
That's true.
Children, abused women, abused animals. You know
Right.
what?
Right.
Whatever.
Right.
I hate it. I
Well,
hate it.
we have, as a society, we have a lot of problems. There's alcoholism, there's drug abuse, and a lot of these things
Yeah.
contribute to violence, and it's sad that uh, that this exists, but at least we could try to make a difference.
Yes. And God bless you.
Well,
Yeah.
Seriously,
thank you,
God
thank
bless
you,
you.
thank you,
You
thank you.
know,
Yeah. Well, I
Really, I'm
try.
so
Respect.
sorry that I didn't give you my phone number.
Oh, don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. Don't worry about
No, I will give
it.
it to you. I'm so sorry because
Okay.
like I said, I had no idea. I'm like, oh, I don't know about this. What happens if this is, the Looney Tunes that were bothering me like
No.
6 months
Yeah.
ago.
I don't. I stay off of Facebook because
Yeah, why? Why do you
yeah.
stay off there?
Well, because in a sense, I just try to uh, keep the because sometimes I've had men that have been mad at me, like a couple of times when I was doing outreaching. A man would come to the table and say, what's the matter? You hate men. Derogative things, and so and I'm just not the. I don't know. I'm just not a Facebook person to, uh, you
Well,
know,
neither am I. I haven't been on my personal Facebook page and I don't know how
yeah.
long.
And
But
I had an experience with it. Not that it was my Facebook, but someone put me on Facebook, and I was at a party, and the other person they didn't know that I was there. I didn't tell them that I was going, and then it caused a problem. So that's one of the reasons I stay away from the social.
oh,
Yeah,
okay,
I
okay.
just like to keep my personal life just quiet. That's all.
Now,
That's all.
we all know you survived your domestic violence situation. Did you ever go on to meet another man?
No, because the main focus at that point was my children. That
Okay.
all I was worrying about after that was my children. That I knew now that I was alone, and I didn't have I didn't even have a high school diploma. So I didn't, I didn't really to say, okay, well, I could get a good job and support my children. So I was I mean, I had help from my parents and sisters and brothers, but I
But you
never,
had twins also,
yeah,
baby
yeah.
twins.
4 months old they were. Yeah.
Right, right.
All I wanted to do at that point was, well, I mean, if you read my newspaper story in the Queen's Daily Eagle, it came
Okay.
out. Yeah, it came out. You could Google it. Uh, the journalist had interviewed me, and I one of the things I told the journalist was that the night that I left, okay, well, I actually the night before the whole house was broken up and I was assaulted. So the next day when I went to my parents' house, of course, they didn't know I was coming, so my mother put a mattress on the floor, and I, slept there the very first night with the twins on this mattress, and it was around October, and the room felt very stuffy. So I opened up the window just a crack, and some air was coming in. And I kind of felt that that air was a symbolic that I was free now, that no one was going to come and abuse me anymore.
Oh, wow.
That I was finally free at that point. So that's one night I never forget. That little bit of air coming through the window just was very symbolic to say, okay, well, you see the freedom of that air. Well, you're free now too, Caroline. So, but again, I just basically concentrated on my children, raising them. I put them both through college, and
Wow, very
yeah,
good.
yeah, and
How did
no,
you do it with twins? Like, how did you pick yourself up and go get a job and did you have help?
well, I was very fortunate to have my family to help. I had my mother and
Okay.
father to help. I have very wonderful sisters and brothers, which were all very helpful as well. I just kind of, went through the years as best as I could. I worked in restaurants to keep myself going, to put food on the table for the children, my boys, and I just kept going. And then one day, when the kids were finally grown, and I said, okay, they're safe, they're good, they got their careers, I did my job. Now what do I want to do for me? And I happened to walk into a library because I was living in Gravesend at Brooklyn at the time.
Yeah.
And I noticed on the bulletin in the library it said, the annual domestic violence thing that was taking place in Borough Hall. And I went and I listened to a couple of the women talk, and then I realized that this was for me. this is what I wanted to do now. I wanted to help any woman that was out there who's suffering the way I was suffering, the fear, the fright, the embarrassment. And so then from then on, I just made it my life's work. I haven't met a nice guy. I'm hoping. Maybe
Oh,
one day someone will.
yeah.
Hasn't come along yet, but maybe one day. I'm not saying that I never would. I would like to have someone in my life. I just don't have at the moment. But if it comes, great.
Right, right.
Mhm.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Well, really, that um Tony Silo even said, "Truly a gift you are, Caroline."
Well, thank you, Tony. That's very kind of you. That's very kind of you. You're probably a gift too. And you're one of the men that I wanted to thank for coming in here tonight. Because again, a lot of men shy away from this. Oh, that's a woman's thing. Yeah, because the majority of the partner that it's abused in an intimate partner relationship is a woman. But I was just so thrilled and so wonderful and I wanted to thank all the men that came in here tonight. That you have a special place in my heart here tonight.
Yeah,
So
I
for
think
yeah.
that there's more men here than women,
Yeah.
Oh well,
and
great.
very
Yeah,
proud of you
Awesome.
all.
yeah,
Very
that's
proud
great.
of you
Yeah,
all.
yeah, because I would just like want them to understand if something's stuck in their head tonight about something. Not that I'm saying that they're abusers, but if they know someone that's doing that, step up and talk. Just you don't have to just say look, that's really not the right way to treat your wife.
Hmm.
Just step up. Men. That's all I would really like. But I thank them all, whoever was here tonight. You're in my heart. And all the beautiful women here tonight, too. If you're suffering some kind of crisis, I'm here to listen to you. I want to
Yeah.
hear you. I want to listen to you and I want to help you.
I think this is one of the best shows that we've ever done,
I
Marla.
have to agree. I have to agree. You are such a
Yeah.
Thank you.
blessing.
Thank you.
I'm
Thank
I'm
you.
serious, and I'm gonna share this on every platform that I have.
Oh, I
I don't
appreciate
normally
that.
do it. I don't share my on all my like on I have two Facebooks, Instagram and Twitter, but this one I definitely am.
Well, I really appreciate that. And of course, any exposure, anything that we could do to reach out and bring awareness, that's great. Whatever we could do to
Yes.
bring awareness. Yeah,
Yes.
yeah. We have to, let women know that, you're beautiful no matter who you are. And
Exactly. And you
right.
don't have to tolerate that. Wanda says women at lower end of the socioeconomic scale are documented by city hospitals and inner city law enforcement at higher rates. Women from higher socioeconomic status, private doctors, private hospitals. What do you say to that?
Well, she's right. She's
Okay.
absolutely right. That's,
Okay.
unfortunately, that's a sad statistic, unfortunately.
Very sad.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah. Well, we want to
And
try to heal the communities. The last 2 years, with all the George Floyd problems and so much that's going on. It's a shame that this is going on. We're all human beings. We
yes, it
need,
really is.
we need to come together as a community. We need to take care of our children. We need to teach our children as well.
That's it.
To
We need to
to
teach our
right,
children.
right, to be
Exactly.
right. They don't have to grow up and be Einsteins, but they need to, they need to understand that in the community they need to act proper and care.
Exactly.
Yeah. Yeah.
And John Holiday says you are a blessing, Caroline.
Well, thank you, John. You're a blessing too.
Yeah. And Yuko. Oh, and Yuko says, "Hi, Carolyn. This was totally great. You are so knowledgeable and also warm. You covered so much. Perfectly done." And I
Yes.
agree, Yuko.
Thank you, Yuko. Yes, thank you.
And let's see. Let me see anybody else. I'm sorry, excuse me. Mental illness is a huge issue nowadays.
Yes, that too. Yes, that too. We need to get more resources for that. We need to do more for that
Yeah,
as
I
well.
mean, they just what did they do? Close down every mental hospital, and now they just keep them, homeless in the streets.
Well, unfortunately, a lot of them are ending up in Rikers Island, which
That's a
yeah, they,
shame.
they don't belong there. That's, they maybe yeah, because of their mental schizophrenia, however, whatever they, unfortunately they may have, if they're committing a crime or doing something, instead of taking them to a hospital, a place, where they could get help, they're just put into jail, and that's not where they belong. They don't belong to be arrested. They belong to get help. It's an illness.
Exactly.
It's an illness.
Ken Kniff from Connecticut says, "What a wonderful lady."
Well, thank you, Ken.
And
Aw.
Again,
here, and
thank
hey,
you.
how about John Holiday says, "I'm single, Caroline."
Okay, I'll keep it in mind. Okay, I'll keep it in mind.
John is single.
Well, I keep that in mind. A nice man is hard to find.
Yeah, see?
Yeah, yeah, that's
And
true.
Real Deal says, "God bless you, Caroline. You are a saint."
Well, thank
Yes,
you,
you
Real
are.
Deal. Thank you so
And
kindly.
and Angela says, "Caroline, what a wonderful woman you are."
Thank you, thank you, thank
Yeah, you
you.
know what? Real Deal is single too.
Oh wow, this is turning into a dating site, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
We have those
Yeah,
nights.
yeah,
Okay,
that's
so
true. That's true.
Bernie
Yeah.
Williams says, "I had to leave my ex. She endangered my child. I called Child Protective Services on her, and they couldn't do anything till the baby was born." So it goes both ways. Yeah, we said that, Bernie Williams. We said that.
Yes, yes, that's
Yes.
one of the things that I said in the beginning, that I just wanted to make it clear that it's not just men who, it's just not just women who are abused. Men get abused too, and it's even harder for them
Yes.
sometimes to come forward and say that. It's very embarrassing to say, my wife beat me up, you know what I'm saying, or my wife is, or my girlfriend assaulted me, yeah. So it makes it kind of complicated for them as well. I feel for them.
Yes. Yes, exactly.
I
Big
feel for
says,
them.
"Thank you for
Yeah.
coming."
Thank
And
you. Thank you.
Angela, the right winger, says, "Big thank you to the men who were man enough to stay." I
Yes.
agree.
Yes.
I
Good. That's
agree.
true. That's true.
And
That's true.
Castro
Yeah.
Von Clem says, "We stand with you ladies against domestic violence. Let's do better and be better."
Exactly.
Otis Never Quit says, "Caroline, best of luck to you. And as a guy with sisters, thanks." See, that's
Oh,
so nice, Otis. That's
yeah.
so nice. That's
Very, very,
right.
very
That's
nice.
right.
Very nice.
That's right.
Very nice.
Amor
Mhm.
says, "My wife is the boss. She runs the show. I'd be lost without her."
Okay. Well, love has many forms. Let's put it
Yeah,
that way.
yeah.
Love has many. He's happy. That's what matters.
And Bella Rose says, "I lost with Bella Rose. God bless your heart, Caroline."
Thank you, Bella Rose. Thank you so much for coming and listening tonight. Everyone who came to listen, I feel so great. So I have a lot more encouragement tonight to keep going.
Yes, without a doubt. Without a doubt. Normally we have a lot more people here watching, but tonight this was a drama-free show. So
Okay.
yeah, those people aren't here. But
Okay. No problem. No
yeah,
problem.
exactly. I'm going to share this on every platform that I have.
Yeah. Well, I'm just very thankful of the people that did come to listen, so that
Exactly.
we could spread awareness. I'm thankful for. Yeah. Oh,
Yeah, this is what makes you come back, Angel, because every time you want to leave, you deliver an ace. Thank you. You're right. Every time I say, you know what, I'm done with this YouTube stuff. And then somebody like Caroline comes along and I think this was the best show we've
It
ever
was.
done.
well, thank you. That I'm flattered to hear that.
I'm
Yeah,
serious.
and I just wanted to mention too that on April 23rd, is it? Yeah, April 23rd. That's a Sunday. Down in Lower Manhattan in the College and Church, I will be giving a speech. And all the firemen come and all the policemen come every year. The policemen, they come to light a candle for the fallen officers. The fire department comes to light a candle for all the fallen firemen, and I light a candle for the women, all the women we've lost for domestic violence. And this year I'll also be giving a speech. So if anyone would like to come, you're welcome.
Yeah,
The,
what park is
okay.
that?
No, it's not a park. It's a church. It
Oh,
is.
church. What church
Yeah.
is that? I'm sorry.
Okay. It's called the Collegiate Church. I'll spell it for you. Collegiate. Collegiate Church. It's located at 245 West 77th Street, West End Avenue,
Wait,
Manhattan, New York.
245 West 77th Street?
Yes, 245 West 77th Street, West End Avenue, New York, New York.
Western Avenue. Okay.
Okay, and that'll be on April 23rd, starting at 2 o'clock in the church.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll be just I'll be talking a little bit about the violence, and also what I would like to is just to kind of bring the communities together. Let's start to heal the communities. With all with all the stuff we've had, the coronavirus, we've had enough of a lot of things.
Exactly.
Yeah, yeah, and it's really brought things down. And then
Yeah.
again, with all the racial tension going on, which is so sad in this day and age. uh you know um so one of my thing at the church, I would like to unite the communities and heal the communities. Let's make a better tomorrow for everybody.
Yes, exactly. Now,
Yeah.
for people that can't make this, will somebody be filming you doing this?
It'll probably be, yeah, yeah, yeah. There's news there, and it comes down to film. It takes place every year. It's
Okay.
even if you've lost a loved one through violence, or someone that was murdered, you could bring their picture and they put it up on the altar, and it's just really it's a candlelight vigil, just to for the people who've passed, just honoring the people who've
I
passed.
see.
Like
Okay. And
the
you
four,
do, and
yeah.
you choose your candle is for women of domestic violence.
Right, for the women, all the women that we've lost so far with that.
Right,
Yeah,
right.
yeah. And sadly, we've lost a lot. We've lost. Uh, well, anyway, I'm going to wrap up for now. Going to. Yes,
Caroline,
yes.
thank you so
Angel,
much.
thank
Yes.
you so much. You
No,
didn't know.
thank you. You
Yeah,
are a wonderful
thank you.
woman,
Thank
really. And
you.
I mean it. This was the best one we have ever done.
Well,
And I
that's
want to
really
do more like this. And I want you to
okay.
come
Yes.
back. Yeah, I want you to
Yes,
come back.
yes, yes. And I have other advocates that also do a lot of different things. And maybe the next time they could join me together and we could
Without
talk.
a doubt.
Yeah,
You let
yeah,
me know.
yeah,
I'm serious. You let
yeah,
me know. I'm gonna get
yeah.
when I
They're
get
they're very wonderful advocates. They are, and
yeah, I'm going to give you my phone number, and whenever you anytime, I don't care if it's tomorrow or if it's in a month or a week, you let me know when you want to come back and you're going to bring someone and we'll do it again.
okay.
Anytime. I don't care if we do 10, 15, 20 of them, whatever.
Right. Okay. Well, now you have my email, and we couldn't communicate.
Yes.
I don't know why
Yes.
YouTube does that, but we can communicate now, so that's great. And yeah, maybe we could possibly do something on sexual assault. That's what I would like to
Oh,
cover the
very
next
good.
time.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah.
Very
Because
good.
that's another thing that goes on a lot in the colleges. College girls, and that's another problem we have.
Yeah,
So
I know. I
yeah,
know.
but look, we try each day. We try to have the strength inside of us and the will to make tomorrow better. To take each day and do whatever the best that we can to make the day
Right.
better. Just
Right.
uh, we we will work for our community, and we'll work to heal our communities.
Yes,
We
yes.
will. Okay. All
And
right.
I
Well, then
look
I'm going.
so forward to you coming back, Caroline.
Okay, thank you. I look forward to it too. I'm so ecstatic and overjoyed that you allowed me to come here tonight to bring this awareness. Because it's so, to me it's so important. I spend a good portion of my life, helping others and trying to heal and make a better tomorrow. That's my aim.
And God
Yeah.
bless you for doing that.
Thank
Yes,
you, thank you,
exactly.
thank you.
And thank
Okay.
you.
Yeah. Okay, so
Thank
I'll
you
say
so
goodnight.
much.
Okay,
You have
good
a good
night to
night. Thank
everyone.
you.
Okay, and like I said, reach out to me. You have my number.
Yes.
Even if you're not having a domestic violence problem and you're feeling down about something, I'm here to listen. Okay, so you just
Aw,
pick up that phone and you give me a call.
you're a
God bless.
sweetheart.
God
And
bless
God
you.
Okay,
bless you. And thank you so
thank
much,
you.
Caroline.
Thank you again.
Thank
Okay,
you.
so how do
All
I
right.
cut off from here now?
I'm going to cut you off right
Oh, okay.
now because I only boot the ones I love. And you're booted. Wasn't she? Oh my God.
That was awesome. You did it, Angel. That was awesome.
Oh man. That was, I, true. Uh, Ange just texted me and said, not sure how old Caroline is, but a match for Elio.
All righty. Ah.
Yeah, we don't know. We're not going to ask Caroline her age, but yeah, we'll ask Elio. Um, I think that was so great. I'm so proud of this one tonight, truly. And of course, it has the lowest amount of viewers because there is no drama here tonight. But
That's
I don't care. I'm going to share this one everywhere. I'm so proud of this one tonight, Marla.
yeah, that's fine about the viewers because honestly, I enjoyed every minute of it. She was
So
so
did I.
informative, great presentation, just really good all the way around.
Yeah, it really was unbelievable. At one point, like I had tears in my eyes.
Yeah. I think the thing that her saying that if you get strangled some point during your relationship, that person is like more likely to be murdered. I think that was like the most shocking one I heard. I mean, saddest. I mean, because I never even made that correlation.
Could
They're
you
violent. Yeah,
imagine?
I just imagine if they're violent and you don't leave at some point, you're gonna, you know, die or from the beatings. But no, 80% of women that get strangled end up dying.
Wow. Could I don't know. I don't know if any of the women in here, because there seems like more men, if any of uh have ever experienced anything like that. But reach out to her. Or you can even reach out to me. I'll come to your house. I'll tell your husbands. Put your hands on her again. It's not even anything to laugh about, but I'm serious. Because I think that is so disgusting for a man to put his hands on a woman
Absolutely.
and hold her prisoner. I never heard of that in my life, that a man would tell his wife she can't close the bathroom door. She has to she has children in the house and she has to leave the bathroom door open. Could you imagine
I
that?
can't. I really can't. Like, what do you? That's so insecure. I can't. I can't
She's
imagine.
in the bathroom. Could you imagine the
No.
bathroom? You need to keep your door open. Get the hell out of here. Caroline, thank you for coming on here. This is one of the best shows I've heard. God bless you and your family. I hope the rest of your life is filled with joy. Me too, damn it, Mandy. And
Yeah.
thank you so much. So do I. So do I. And Carol says, God bless you, Caroline, and the work you do. Exactly. Edwin says, men that abuse women are damned forever.
Yeah. Uh, It's not the word I would use for it, but yeah, that's a good way to put it.
Jane Perry says most states have the same kind of programs. I hope so.
Yeah.
Really, I hope so. John Holiday says you won't catch me in New York, New York. Well, New York, New York is really not that bad. It's really not that bad. My brother Peter loves the city. That's all he does. He loves the city. Uh, Damn, Mandy says they shut down the state hospital here. My aunt was forced to retire. This country needs to seriously look over the budget. Yeah, I agree.
Exactly.
I agree. And everybody, please hit the like button. Carol says, please hit the like button. Please. Jane Perry says, thank you for coming on. Carol says, great show, Caroline. Thank you, Caroline. And Gianni, if you think that I could read that, you're out of your mind. But I know it's for Caroline. John Holiday says, good night. JJ says, thank you, Caroline. God bless.
Did you have any takeaways?
What do you mean?
Like, was there anything that stuck out the most to you with her presentation about the domestic violence?
The whole thing just blew me away, really. Because I have, see, I have a different, I have such a strong personality that way. I don't know if you want to, if it's called that personality, but I have zero tolerance to any kind of abuse. So it's the whole thing blew me away. Everything. Like, but the thing that stands out the most, I don't know why, is that this woman couldn't close the door when she went to the bathroom.
Yeah.
Like, I could never imagine being so belittled. You know what I mean? Like, your kids are walking past while you're in the bathroom. That's disgusting. And for what reason? Like, what could she possibly do in the bathroom?
That's what I don't
It's
get.
just like a control freak, I think,
Yeah.
right? Like a
Yeah.
control freak.
Yeah. That's what I would. That. Yeah. I don't know. That just seems so childish. I don't know. I don't understand certain things like the concepts like that. For example, I don't.
Crazy. Really crazy. She's amazing. Thank you very much, Sunny Crossing. Thank you, everybody. And thank you, Aegon. And please make sure you hit that like button. This was a really great show. Thank you so much. Thank you, Sexy Jack. You too. And Jason, thank you. Mario says, hit the like. It's well deserved here. Thank you. Real Deal says, it's not quantity, but quality of people here. Exactly. That's right.
Yes.
Real Deal. You're right. Ange says, with shows like this and others you plan is why you have to expand to other communities. Exactly. And if the trolls aren't here, well, all right, whatever. Whatever. I don't really care. Uh Real deal. It was sad. They did their first communion together when my dad was blown up. This guy, Marine, stole an army uniform to go visit him, and he got caught. They buried side by side. This was a great show. She's an amazing woman. I'll watch this one again. Thank you. I'm gonna see if I can really get down there on the 23rd. I don't know why the 23rd sounds so familiar. Like it's something's going off in my head. If it's somebody's birthday or something, the 23rd. But if not, I'm gonna see if I can go down there. Arlene says this show was so sophisticated and real for a lot of people to comprehend. Oh, it was too sophisticated and real for a lot of people to comprehend. Probably.
Might have made some people uncomfortable.
Yeah, you think so?
No, I mean, if they've ever seen somebody abused and they never spoke out, they might, might feel guilty.
My wife is with me watching and listening. Oh, that's nice. Hi, Bridget. Let's see. Sexy Jack says I got hit with a frying pan by my ex. That sucker hurts. Heartfelt show, says Jimmy. Thank you, Jimmy. Thank you, Carol. Angel, it was your best yet. Thank you. I feel the same way. And that's what I want to do. This is exactly what I want to do. And if it takes a little while to get up there, it takes a little while. I don't care. This is exactly what I want to do. And Angel, your large heart and being a strong being strong speaks volumes about you. God bless you. Thank you so much. I don't know if it's that or um I don't know. I don't know cuz I just can't I can't I can't tolerate just can't tolerate abuse of any form.
Yeah.
Angel, this show is great. If people want drama, they know where to go get it. Exactly. And that's fine. Okay. You ready, Marla?
Yeah. Whenever you are, I'm ready.
I am ready. Thank you, damn it, Mandy. This is an amazing direction. I hope you will have Joy on here sometime. R.I.P. Alan Kaiser. Yes. Joy is welcome anytime to come on. I was supposed to have an interview with someone. I haven't heard back yet. And that I told everybody is a singer, but I don't know. People promise me things and then they don't come through. So maybe we'll see what happens. I'll get on the phone tomorrow with my brother Peter and we'll figure out a day that he will be here. Um, and we'll take it from there. Right, Marla?
Sounds good.
I want to thank everyone. Thank you so much because this was important to me. It was important to Marla too. So thank you all for being here and thank you for being so nice to Caroline.
Yes. Thank you, everyone.
Yes. And good night, everybody.
Good night and good job tonight, Angel.
Good job to you, Marla. You asked some great questions as well.
No worries. Have a good night. Have a good
Good
night,
night.
everyone.
Good night.